And we're back.
Hello.
For the second episode of our triumphant return.
Triumphant return?
I don't know.
We'll go with it. It's fine.
We'll go with triumphant return as it stands. I mean, currently it's thunderstorming outside, so we have returned to the cackle of thunder and lightning. God's really on our side.
Well, that's if anybody can hear the thunder and lightning, I mean. It's either going to be the thunder and lightning or the fact that the cat has joined us in the room today.
Yes, she's looking at us from behind a curtain, sat on the windowsill, licking herself.
So if you hear any weird noises, that could also be the cat.
Yeah, although I doubt it. She's pretty quiet. So today, I think I've picked a topic which I was doing a little bit of like subbing and scrolling, as one does through the internet, and decided to pick the topic of Bi-Erasure, because it's still ever prevalent in today's world, and I think it's something that, I don't know, seems to affect quite a lot of people, because unfortunately still too many people seem to have missed thoughts or, you know, don't really put the right emphasis on what being bisexual is. So I thought we could talk about it.
Potentially. I feel like you've got most of the notes because I've literally just read through them. So
yeah, that's fine. I mean, I read through them once. Do we really do that much preparation where we read through? No,
I don't think we do.
We just sort of have notes and then go through them. But anyway, I can kick this off to begin with. So, did a little bit of research and decided to have a look on the ONS, so the Office of National Statistics. And it turns out that from their data in 2017, they did have an LGB spectrum. So they had a lesbian, a gay, and a bisexual spectrum, where you could select if you were gay, if you were a lesbian, straight, whatever. And obviously they had this as bisexual as well. Now, from the statistics, from what we know, ages 16 years and older, they came back at about 1.1 million people. So if we have about 55 million people in the UK, it's literally like 1%, if that, of the current UK population that identifies as bisexual. So it's not a lot.
It wasn't covering all areas either. It's only covering lesbian, gay, and bi. It's not covering, like, you could have a trans bi person.
That's true.
Or a non-binary bi person. Can you have a non-binary bi person?
I suppose so. Because it's non-binary, you don't identify with the gender. But it doesn't mean that you don't find both genders attractive. So
it's not an accurate recording.
Well, yeah, so basically if 2% of that 1.1 million, 0.7% identified as bisexual. So roughly 385,000.
That's a lot of people still.
It's a lot of people, but I mean, in terms of everything else, not so much when you think about it.
Well, I suppose, but I don't think that it would be like, it's not going to be like 10 million people are bi, is it?
No, but I suppose part of me was expecting it to be a larger figure. I don't know why. I was just expecting it to be more out there, really. I don't know
that was
why.
back into, when was that, 2017?
2017.
So the numbers might be different now.
Maybe. I just always feel like on the spectrum of queerness, on the spectrum of being LGBTQ+, that being bisexual would be higher. Because you would
Than being gay or lesbian or trans or...
Yeah, because you would think that, like, more people would have that innate feeling of attractiveness to both.
Potentially, but it's whether they admit to it.
Well, that's the other thing as well, I suppose. But having said that, why would you lie on something like a census? No one's going to know. Do you know
Maybe,
what I mean?
but if they're in denial with themselves, then it doesn't matter, does it? Because it means they're still not going to put it down on a census form if they're in denial with themselves internally.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. I just always don't think of it that way. I suppose it's because it's easy for me to just go, oh, you know, it's easy for me. If they're like, are you gay? I'm like, yes.
Yeah, but just because it's easy for you doesn't mean that it's easy for somebody else.
No, it's not. But you don't always tend to think about... You don't always tend to think about other people when it's your own sort of like life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't always tend to think of the most apparent thing. In my world, you're either gay or you're straight, and that's probably really bad to do because
Well, that's where you get your bi-erasure.
This is just
Because
it,
you're just thinking that
exactly.
there's gay and straight and that's
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
And you know that there's not.
No, I know that there's not, but I suppose because my lived experience is I have either only met gay men or straight men. I've never really met the in-between. Do you know what I mean?
What, so you've never met lesbian women?
No.
Well, I'm offended.
Trans people, yes, but no lesbians.
No.
What are they? What's that? I'd love to know. So I suppose, due to the methods that the ONS took, so that how they generally did their census, it is old-fashioned. So they're looking to see an increase of this when the next census is rolled out, because obviously I think. Not because necessarily the way that they do it is inherently flawed, but I think because as time moves on, people are always more ready to come out or always genuinely feel more accepted.
Potentially.
So,
but there was more boxes on the census forms this time around anyway, so
yeah, that's true.
that'll make a difference.
It steps in the right direction.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
always so confused why they never recorded it in the first place, to be honest with you. It's such a shame.
Because they didn't want to know.
I suppose it is that, really. Yeah, they didn't care.
They didn't give a shit.
Why did you
I don't know.
So, in definition of what bi-erasure is, or let's start with biphobia. So biphobia effectively is where somebody has a disliking for somebody else because of their orientation sexually towards the opposite and same sex. So if you're attracted to both the opposite and same sex, someone who doesn't like you because of that is biphobic. And then you've got bi-erasure, not to be confused with being biphobic, because bi-erasure is just the complete erasure,
pretending that they don't exist at all.
Of bi people completely. It's not that you hate them, it's just that you've wiped them off the face of the earth.
They do not exist to you. Like dinosaurs and unicorns.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And dragons and...
Oh, that elusive millionaire buying the same loaf of bread as me at the supermarket. Do you know what I mean? It exists, just, we just haven't seen one yet. So, I lost my train of thought. So, the whole point of bi-erasure is effectively classifying somebody as something that they're not. So, we see it all the time in a lot of media, to be honest with you, whereby it's almost like the bi now, gay later statement, which is used a lot.
Well, that's used a lot because, and this is nothing on anybody that is bi, and I am not being offensive. Hopefully I am not being offensive in any way. But people that are gay or lesbian usually come out as bisexual first to test the waters before they come out as gay or lesbian, queer, whatever it might be. Not everybody, but I know that can happen for some people. So I think that's where that tagline of bi now, gay later has effectively come in.
Yeah, well, it used to be a thing back when we were younger, because to come out illicitly as I am gay was such a huge thing. So it was sort of like this, it's like the soft opening of your sexuality.
Yeah. I'll come out as bi first and then see what happens.
I like both. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, just men. Yeah, it's a weird thing to do, but I suppose in your own mind it softens the blow when it comes to
it does,
gay.
But at the same time I feel like maybe coming out as bi before you come out as gay is harmful to the bi community.
100%, yeah, because then it lends to this stereotype of
I think
you're
it's
not really bisexual.
I do think it's harmful, but then at the same time I struggle because then if you're going through it and you don't know what to do and you just want to test the water a little bit, because coming out as gay or bi or trans or anything like that can cost you more than, some people have a great experience and then other people have horrendous experience where they get kicked out of the houses or suffer violence or homophobia or biphobia or transphobia or whatever it might be. So I do kind of understand why coming out as bisexual first is used before coming out as gay, because I suppose you can test the waters a little bit, and if it all goes horribly wrong, you can take it back.
I was just joking. I'm not really.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's difficult. It is difficult, but then at the same time, I do feel like coming out as bisexual isn't harmful to the bisexual community if you're not.
Yeah, agreed.
If you know you're not. I mean, if you come out as bi because you're not sure, that's different. It's a
Yeah,
different
because
circumstance.
that's you trying to figure out what your sexuality
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And that, that does make sense. A lot of people still think to themselves, there's a great sort of sentiment out there, which is that, sticking a label on something, sticking a label on yourself is a very definite. What?
Absolutely bouncing it down.
I know, it's literally chucking it down out there. Yeah, sorry, sticking a label on yourself is very definitive. So it's very much like, I am gay. And then people instantly have the stereotypical tropes that come with being a gay man, which is that I'm going to be running around throwing rainbows and glitter at people. Yeah, which I do.
And then when you come out as lesbian, they think you're walking around like...
Yeah,
with 2 rolled up carpets under your arms.
Exactly. Shopping at B&Q It's very difficult to not then have those labels plastered onto yourself. And if you don't want to label what your sexuality is, for example, you could still find women attractive, but have only ever been in a relationship with men. Technically, I suppose in those regards, you could label yourself as bisexual. You're not saying that you don't have a disapproval of women, but that doesn't make you any less of a bisexual than someone who has had both male or female partners. There is this odd thing where they say, oh, they're just greedy. They want everything. Or, oh, just make up your mind. Make a decision. You can only like one or the other. Gatekeeping someone's sexuality, for example.
I don't think... It's not true, though, is it? You can like more than one gender if you so desire, or if that's how you feel. Yeah. I don't...
True. But I do think that there's this weird thing where people say, no, it can be only one. You can either like women or you can like men.
But it's not feasible, is it? Because then you have people that are like in polyamorous relationships or open relationships, and they have multiple partners, and that can be male or female, regardless of that. It could be 3 men in a poly relationship, or 3 women, or a man and 2 women, or a woman and 2 men, or a person with a person with a person. It doesn't really follow suit. It's not about none of it's about being greedy, really. It's about your state of mind and what you're attracted to.
Exactly. And this is where I think a lot of like bi people come into that sort of troubled area, is that people want this sort of like one person attraction ruling because it's easier for them to understand. So I basically did some more research into this to have a look and see what was going on. So a report from Stonewall showed that 43% of bisexual people identified have never attended any LGBTQA plus events or participated in any social gatherings to do with the LGBTQ plus community. The primary reason is that they don't feel accepted by the community at large. And that's even more shocking, that basically 40%...
It's just sad, really. I'm not shocked, actually. I'm not shocked by the number. It's just sad that they feel like they're being ousted by their own community. And at the same time, that doesn't shock me either, because the mentality of straight people saying, you have to pick one. It's either you're either straight or you're gay. Also, I feel like maybe some members of the gay community say the same thing, of the queer community say the same thing. Oh, no, you need to decide. I think that the problem with... It's not a problem, is it? I think with being bisexual, it comes with, regardless of straight community or queer community, everybody turns around and goes, you have to pick one. That's my thought. That's why I'm not shocked that percentage is as high as it is, because... Why would you then want to go into that community if you're just going to get judged? True. You get judged in the straight community and you're going to get judged in the queer community.
I know, so you kind of get it from both sides, to be honest with you, which is an absolute pain, because we've been the LGBTQ plus generation for a long time, and yet people still can't get the understanding that B does mean bisexual. Do you know what I mean? People are still like, what does the B mean? And then you've got one guy that's like, bitches! Yay! And they don't really seem to fully understand it. It's a difficult one, because you never want to make somebody... I would never want to make somebody feel uncomfortable and to turn around and be like, if someone turned around to me and was like bisexual, the first things out of my mouth would not be, ew, pick a person, pick a gender. That's not...
I don't care.
That's not the response of mine. But I can understand that there are probably some who are like that.
Yeah, I can understand that this. I've heard it before when we were in school and stuff like that. Where didn't we have a friend that was bisexual and they used to get a bit. I feel like we knew somebody. That
Did
was
we?
a very, very, very long time ago, and they used to get grief for you have to pick men or women and stuff like that, and you can't be sat in the middle.
Oh. So even more studies from the Shona Wall's report.
Well, this took a turn.
Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Sorry, another thing from the Stonewall report. This is the Bi report from Stonewall, by the way. Go look at it, Google it. But they showed that a higher population of bisexual people were women. So out of all of the
that does not
that
shock
they
me
did,
in the slightest.
But yeah, it was 58% of women obviously came out as bisexual. Men was at 32%, and in the non-conforming category, so those that were either gender neutral or anything like that, they were listed at the 11%. So it's fascinating. Well, not fascinating because, like what you say, it's not a shock that more women
shocked.
are able to say it.
Because women are more open-minded. It's also widely more accepted among women for them to be bisexual than it is for men.
True. I don't mean to get all white woman's soapbox here, but I wouldn't necessarily say that women are more open-minded. But I think the stigmatism that lies within women is not as harsh. So for a woman to say that she fancies either women or men, for men to hear that a woman fancies another woman is sexy and it's fun and it's cool and it's, we know how gross they can be. And for a woman to hear that a woman likes women, if you are a lesbian, is the best thing in the world, because it's like, great, the pool of fish that I can... I'm trying to find
You're going to say the pool of fish. You're about to say the pool of fish that I can swim in. Dirty. That is absolutely vile. I can't believe you just said that.
I was trying to think of a metaphor quickly and realised where I was going, and I was like, I'm not
so
sure about this.
You're already there. You're already there. Stick with it. The pool of fish that you can swim in as a lesbian woman just got bigger.
Oh crap, that's gonna be on my gravestone. But for men, the difficulty is always in the case that if you're a man and you hear that a man fancies another man, it's a bit unnerving or uncomfortable for quite a few. And if you're a woman and you hear that a man likes another man, they either want to be your best friend, because for some weird reason straight women love a gay best friend, I don't know why, or they can't stand you anymore because you're no longer going to be interested in them as a woman. So it's a very difficult thing for a man to sort of get that kind of acceptance around, I think. I don't necessarily think it's that they're not open-minded to it. I just think the stigmatism is really hard for a man to break.
I think it's really hard for a man to break as well. I also think that more bisexual men will not come forward and say that they're bisexual either.
No.
I just don't think that they would. I think that they would then fear that their friends would turn around and call them gay. And and stuff like that. And people like, in the lads club and stuff like that, and they're watching the football, and it's like, or whatever it might be, and they'll turn around and just say, oh, you're gay or whatever. For any response, it could be, oh, just because you're gay. And they're probably not. They're probably just bi.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's such a stupid thing as well, and I do feel like it's probably an our generational thing. I do think that the younger generation doesn't have as much emphasis on something like this. I think that they probably limit themselves less to the whole stereotypical gender roles. And
I know that for some people that it defines them and it helps them define who they are, and for those people they need it. But then, in general, I pray for the day that you just don't have to even say anything. You can just be yourself.
I've wrote about this in the past where, is the use of labels toxic? And it is, because unfortunately, in an inclusionary group, LGBTQ+ is supposedly inclusionary to everybody. Having to label yourself is kind of the opposite of inclusion. Do you know what I mean? You are sort of saying you must have a label to be in our group, because if you don't, you're not welcome. But we welcome everybody, dude. It doesn't really work like that. So I believe that the day will come, probably when we're long dead and, aliens have taken over, when the use of we'll look back at the use of labels and go, how pathetic. Do you know what I mean? Like, why?
I used to think that we needed labels, and now as I get older, I'm just like, I don't even care. You can come up to me and tell me you're a monkey fish, and I'd be like, okay.
I don't believe. How can I put this? In a world where representation matters, labels are needed, but that's the here and now. Do I think that they will still be needed 50 years down the line? No, because I think that we will have evolved to the point where representation doesn't need to be exclusively shoved in people's faces.
Potentially.
That's my hope anyway. I hope that eventually we get to that place. Anyway, back onto the topic of the bisexuals. So a race category based upon this was that 92% of respondents were white. I don't know how that sort of filters in, or whether or not it could just be their picking. I'm not sure what happened there with that, because I'm almost certain. I don't know. Let me just explain to the good people at home. We are white, so we can't really understand the race that we are not. So it would be interesting to hear from other people how that sort of dictates. Is it a cultural thing? Is it something to do with there being less acceptance within other communities outside of, is this a basis of white privilege? You tell us, because this is something that I'm not.
Certainly sounds like a basis of white privilege.
Yeah,
it,
that
really?
It's kind of like I'm free to be who I want.
I'm free to be who I want to be, and maybe other communities can't. That would be quite interesting to. I wonder if there's any other. I mean, with it being such a high percentage of white people, it feels like a white privilege thing, doesn't it?
It does. There's got to be something there, either to do with the cultural side of things, or to do with some form of
if it's just
privilege
not been
association.
Recorded.
Perhaps it could be that as well. Perhaps maybe there just wasn't enough respondents from other communities. But it is a bit of a weird one of such a high
dive down that
figure.
well for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that could definitely be something for the future. So, as we continue down the list of facts, figures, and statistics, 74% of gay and lesbian participants who took part in this declared themselves as out to their friends. Now, only 36% of bisexual people declared themselves as out. So this kind of ties in with the other, in that people are probably afraid that if they come out to their friends, they're just going to completely mislabel them and just be like, oh, you mean, gay Joe.
Who are you friends with?
Kissed a lad once and that was it. Now he's been gay for the rest of his life. And out of the 63% of gay and lesbians declaring themselves as out to family, only 20% of bi people came out to their family. So that's even lower.
Oh, that's really low.
Yeah.
See, now that puts me in this weird position. This puts me in a weird frame of mind. Is it that only 20% came out because they felt it was necessary? And did the rest of the people not come out as bisexual because it just wasn't necessary? Because they already knew? Was there already... Yeah. It's difficult, really, because what if their parents just knew they were into guys and girls, or if they always had...
I suppose from a 20% standpoint of that, it's probably going to be a very high mix of either confident people that would be able to say it because they have a welcoming family, and a mix of other people where they've either been caught in the act or they've been outed. I suppose looking at it, 20% is not that many for us to make a divisive opinion on that state of mind.
Just seems very, very low. Like, why would only 20% of bisexual people come out against 63% gay and lesbian? Or is it then because of bi-erasure or biphobia?
Well, it could be, because, I mean, an onset of this is that depression rates within bisexual people are higher. For example, 59% of bi people reported experiencing depression.
And is this coming from the men or the women?
Well, it comes from a general consensus because it didn't delve down into sex genders. But I suppose if we have to have a look at it in the sense, if you've got 59% of bi people and the female population are more comfortable with coming out than the men, then you're going to probably see more of a higher spike figures in men feeling more depressed than women.
This is just a guess, by the way.
Yeah, this is us basically...
Do not take that as gold.
Well, it's a little bit of an educated guess because you're taking the highest and lowest figures and kind of forming an opinion based off of the information you've got. It might not be. Maybe it's more women than it is men, but that's not how... I don't think that's the world we live in, and I really don't see it being that way. If more men are reticent to come out, then that's evidently going to then pushed down into one's emotions.
I think some women that are bi might struggle though. They might suffer from some form of
not going to turn.
because then you're gonna
no.
get that. Surely they would end up with those horrible straight men that go up and go, "I'll make you straight." do you know what I mean? Like lesbians get them.
We could get another woman and go have sex together. Yeah, because that's what they want.
Yeah, because that's what they want. We laugh, but that could be a form of depression for somebody if they hear it enough over a long period of time.
Yeah, it can weigh on somebody.
Piss me off.
Yeah, it would get on my nerves. Actually, it wouldn't get on my nerves. I'm happy for people to make sexual advances. It doesn't happen enough, in my opinion.
Again, because you don't leave the house.
Exactly. So yeah, 59% reported as being depressed. 50% reported that their life was not worth living, and 26% reported self-harming. So those figures higher didn't have the gay figures at hand, but those figures are higher than that of what lesbian and gay people reported during their mental health issues or struggles. So again, it reflects in this sort of cultural aspect that being bisexual equates to people erasing who you are, and that having a huge effect on your mental health. And it's crazy. All over the fact that you could be a woman who likes women and men, or a man who likes men and women. I was not even to respond.
Well, I'm just... So how do we fix bi-erasure? I mean...
I suppose...
How do we move forward as a community?
How do we move forward as a community? Listen, I am not the messiah of the gay community. I am not Jesus in gay clothes. Though if you want to compare me to Jesus, you can.
How about no?
No, I didn't come on the second day. No, basically, we move forward by being more accepting and taking people not even necessarily at face value, but at word value. If someone says to you that they are bisexual, then they are bisexual. It is not for us as individuals to make a claim to waylay an individual's lived experience based off of what we think it should be. If you were a man who has never had sex with a man before and only ever had relationships with women, but you say that you're bisexual because you find men attractive, fine, you are bisexual to me. I don't care. I knew I was gay before I'd ever had sex, kissed, touched another bloke. And no one would ever dare turn around and go, well, they do. They used to. Do you remember when people used to turn around and go, how do you know you're gay if you've never done it before? Mary, I just fucking know. It is what it is.
I do not remember that now.
Do you not remember?
No.
Did no one ever say it to you? Because I have said this story before where I said that I knew I was gay before anything. Before there was the word for it, before I understood what it was. And people always used to say, how do you know you are if you've never done anything? I just knew. And it's the same with people that are bisexual. You just... No, it's in an innate feeling. It's in here somewhere.
And I think if somebody's lying about being bisexual or they're trying to do it for attention, you'll know.
Yeah.
Because they won't shut up about it.
Well, we as humans have a knack for detecting bullshit. So...
Not everybody.
No, some people are born clueless, but a lot of times you have a knack for detecting bullshit. Especially if you're in the LGBTQ plus community as well. You can sometimes kind of tell. So yeah, we move forward by accepting people for who they are. We be more accepting. We just say yes. Well, we don't just say yes. Don't just say yes.
Wow,
don't just say yes.
Just say no.
But we take people for their word and we don't judge them for it. Because ultimately, if someone says
it doesn't affect your life. Do you know what I mean? Like if your mate comes up to you and goes, "I'm bi," well, it doesn't do anything to you. He's not going to start. He or she is not, or they are not going to start sexually harassing you. Not unless you ask them to.
And even then, is that such a bad no?
Well, it depends.
This is just it. It depends on who it is, and what.
No, my point was, like you said, take them at face value and just believe what they say. And what I'm saying is,
the same.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. I've been in work I've been up since 4:30 this morning.
I saw the thought leave
my
your body, and then your eyes turned into soulless holes. I saw you literally just be like, Meow. I saw the switch power down, and you just stared at me. I was like, the same thing.
It's a lot when you wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
It is a lot. Listen, this is why we've gone down to the 30-minute format.
I don't know what's happening.
We can't hold conversations for this long. And that's it from us.
I'm lost. I'm sure we can cover this topic again, or maybe.
Oh, I'm sure
we'll wait. We'll wait for more stats and stuff to come out when they release the census that was done, and see how the numbers change. And obviously, if anybody's got any questions or knowledge on Bi-Erasure or biphobia or any stories, then obviously let us know. Email us or drop us a comment below.
Yeah, definitely. Get in touch. We want to know. We want to know from everybody if you've experienced biphobia, if you've experienced any kind of phobia, if you've experienced Bi-Erasure, let us know in the comments.
And just as we're sat here, I've just had a thing, nothing to do with Bi-Erasure, but Blackpool footballer Jake Daniels has just come out as gay. He's the first British footballer to do so.
No.
Well, it says professional player to do so in decades. So well done. To Jake, who plays for Blackpool Football Club.
Oh, good. I'm glad. We need more men to come out in football. Because we know that there's Mary after Mary in there.
We'll cover that on a different episode.
Oh, that'd be a good one, yeah.
Do you know what? That can now be next week's episode.
Okay.
Let's do gay footballers.
You do the research. You know far more about football than I do.
I don't know enough about gay football.
I don't know anything about gay football. Listen, it's sport. I'm like, oh. Yeah, next episode we'll do that. But until that time, you can reach us at A Sure Thing on Twitter. You can visit us at A Sure Thing on YouTube. And you can leave a comment. You can leave a like. You can leave a subscribe.
You can hit the bell button for notifications and buy me coffee.
Yeah. Please buy her coffee. Now she has a full-time job again. She needs it more than ever.
It is a requirement. I need it pumping into my veins.
We're also a community-supported podcast, which means we don't get paid for this, just so y'all know. And you can actually help us out by going onto Patreon at A Sure Thing and just, throwing a little love our way, and we'll be able to do more.
And we'll throw a little love yours.
We'll throw a little love yours. And we'll be able to do a lot more of this in the future and really get behind a lot of community projects and really expand A Sure Thing into, a global empire. We're not trying to be Jeff Bezos, but a couple billion would be nice.
I don't want a couple billion.
Just one.
No, I don't want $1 billion. I just think that's too much money. That's a ridiculous amount of money.
I'm giving to charities.
Well, yeah, I'd give it all to charities, but I would not want $1 billion in my bank account.
No, not in the account.
I wouldn't want it. Well, what do you do with that kind of money? It's ridiculous.
Shop till you drop.
No, what for shit you don't need?
Yeah, live out my clueless lifestyle. I will be Cher Horowitz.
Shall we go?
We'll go. Anyway.
We'll talk to you all next week.
Yes, we'll see you all next week, where we're going to be talking about the gay football scene. Why is there a lack?
I couldn't tell you.
But until next time, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.